Does anyone else feel like it's Groundhog Day, or is it just me? Gen Wars. Welcome to Gen Wars, the generational podcast between the Gen Xers and the Millennials. I'm your host, Nick, and on this side of the screen, we have representing Gen X is Cam and myself, which I don't know if is the right grammatical way to present that, but we're here. And on that side of this, and on that side of the screen, we have the Millennials, Katherine and Stephen. How's everybody doing today?
Excellent. Doing much better, thank you.
Excellent.
Yes, we're all happy that you are feeling better, and we are here
to
discuss the Groundhog.
Okay, now do the intro again.
Does anyone else feel like it's Groundhog Day, or is it just me? Welcome to Gen Wars. As you may have guessed it.
For Bestman, do it again.
You have to do it again.
Play that same song.
Just loop it at the end. This is a cold open. Just.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like it's been Groundhog's? Do you think we did this opening already? I think we did.
Does anyone else feel like it's Groundhog Day, or is it just me? Welcome to Gen Wars.
Deja vu.
So,
what?
As you may have guessed,
I've got you, babes.
That's
Nick's trying to talk.
I'm just going to let you guys keep going.
His audio's low. I think we're just stepping all over him today.
How's your toes, Nick? Are they hurting?
A little bit. So, as you may have guessed, in honor of February 2nd, we watched the 1993 Bill Murray classic Groundhog Day, directed by Harold Ramis. Starring Bill Murray, Andie MacDowell, and Chris Elliott, along with a whole host of other great actors. If you haven't seen this movie in a while, here's a quick, or if you've never seen this movie, which is weird, because we've had other movies that have spawned similar, with a similar premise. But if you haven't seen this in a while, here's a quick synopsis. Phil Connors, played by Bill Murray, a cynical weatherman covering the annual Groundhog Day event in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, gets trapped in a blizzard that he didn't predict and finds himself stuck in a time loop, forcing him to relive February 2nd repeatedly until he gets it right. Stephen, I think you're the only one yet again who's never seen this movie.
It's going to be a common theme here.
It's almost like the existence of the situation stems from my inability to watch cinema.
Does anyone else feel like it's Groundhog Day, or is it just me? Welcome to Gen Wars.
Well, it's almost like we've relived this theme over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
This is a trope.
Welcome to Stephen Wars.
Replay the intro. Start it over, and then we're going to correct. Hard cut.
So, did you know about this movie, or the premise of this movie, or the idea of this movie prior to this?
Yeah, I just knew it.
Heard about it.
I don't know if it's the first iteration of doing this trope, but it is the most quintessential version of looping the day over and over again. I think the most familiar one that I have is the Disney Donald Duck short, where the Huey, Dewey, and Louie have to relive Christmas every day until they get it right. It very much is the same premise.
How do I not know about this one?
I don't know that one either.
Okay.
Strike on the Disney girl.
I know. Shame on me.
Do you even know Disney cartoons?
I'm
So
sorry.
there's Donald Duck, okay, and
Who's that?
he's got some nephews.
Yes.
When did this come out?
I have no idea.
1993.
That sounds
This
about
movie?
right. That sounds about when I would watch something like
It
that.
was release date was February 12th, 93.
segment called 1999, a direct-to-video film. Donald Duck appears in a segment Stuck on Christmas. No, that might not be it. All right, we're gonna have to
Look below.
find this out because I need to watch
do
this.
some research.
Yes, I'm gonna have to do this. Yeah, I'll put it up on screen of whatever it's called.
But
once I get a hold of it.
looping day trope until you're a better person at the end
This-
of it. I am aware of it.
This
Okay,
was, I think, the first of this trope, though.
Okay.
Yeah. That's I marked that in my notes. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is the first one, and then this kind of spurred on
Several
other
other
ones.
films.
Yeah,
Yes.
we got Palm Springs, which was one that came out during the pandemic with Andy Samberg. Edge of Tomorrow, not
Yes.
Live, Die, Repeat. God
Yes.
damn, I hate that name so
Makes
much.
me so mad. Happy
Yeah,
Death
and they were
Day.
like, hey, we
like
released this movie and we're going to go back and retroactively change the name of it because that sounds stupider.
That's the Tom Cruise one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Tom Cruise.
The
I mean,
sci-fi.
I enjoyed watching it. It was
was
fun,
good.
but
Yeah.
I mean, for what it's worth, it harnessed the entire spirit of this movie in it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The,
and then
the,
yes,
the
there was
true spirit. We're gonna get to that.
That's fair.
Then there
but-
was the Netflix series Russian Doll as well.
Oh, did that do this as well?
Yeah, she
Never saw
dies
that.
over and over and over again and repeats the same day.
Oh, okay. And you
Yeah.
also said Happy Death Day 1 and 2, which were.
I have
in the
not
same
seen those,
vein
but
of
yeah.
this. I saw the first one and not the second one yet, but they're fun. It's a fun movie that
And
takes
Stephen-
this premise and puts it into a horror movie.
Yes. And then Wikipedia also said Majora's Mask. I have not played that game, Stephen.
Yes.
Can you? Yes.
Yeah, the dawn of the final day is a great meme, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
basically you have 3 days to beat the game, and if you don't do it, it starts over. And then you have to do it. Yeah, it's essentially the same thing. Mm-hmm. But really fun game.
Interesting.
One of the best games.
I never played it.
Yeah.
Are you an N64 era hater?
No.
Okay.
I bought one. We destroyed Ocarina.
Yeah,
I had no
yeah. You would really like it then.
need.
You would really like
I
it.
like-
GoldenEye.
Yeah, we destroyed
There's
GoldenEye.
there's the
I
two
never-
camps. There's like I played GoldenEye and that was it, or I hate N64. Like there's like those.
Who could hate on the N64? That was
so
fun.
many people do, and it just blows my mind. I think it's such a great console. I have several.
Well, those
All right,
people
well-
are doomed to repeat their days.
exactly their mistakes.
That's for Game Brew podcast.
Ooh,
That side we
Yeah.
got to
Ooh.
Game Brew podcast over on Funky Games.
Course correct.
Of course, correct. All right, back to the movie.
So-
Catherine, did you find budgetary stuff on this? Because when I was trying to do this, this got a little wild for me.
Yes.
Not wild, but less harder to find some information, I guess, or the information that I assumed would be there.
I did find some information. Yeah, it was 14.6 million, which the average budget in 1993 was 63 million. So it was
That's
a pretty low budget
tiny.
film.
That's tiny.
Yeah.
And because of that, like its earnings, opening weekend was about 12.5 million, and then domestically was about almost 71 million. It doesn't have anything for global. Wikipedia said 105 million, but then other websites didn't have anything listed.
Global
so-
release would be hard with kind of the themes of this and like the references. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of where, once I started looking into it, I was realizing that the Groundhog Day isn't a global thing. I mean, I'm sure it can reside in other places, but it's definitely not. So the international number I got for this was only $14,000.
Oh,
I don't think that's correct.
That's the number.
I'm gonna have to give you the link of the website I found.
Okay, that was so internet. Yeah, so I got 14,000 on the international. It got re-released in 2000 in Australia and only made $629. So yeah, the
Crikey.
over.
And I have some awards
I mean, maybe
here
if it was a
too.
Wallaby Day, mate.
Yeah.
All right, what awards did it win?
A Tony.
Let Cam have a moment there with his joke.
Sorry, I'm still reeling back from the 600.
It has about 17 nominations and 7 wins. Nothing like major notable awards like Academy Awards. Like Andie MacDowell won Best Actress and got a Saturn Award for it. It won a Music Award for the score. It was a BMI Film and TV Award. It won a BAFTA for Best Original Screenplay.
I don't know what a Saturn Award is, but in 1993, was it because of the car company?
Hey, Saturn, they had some
I
cars.
didn't dig too much into that, Cam. It's won a lot. It's mostly known for its screenplay. It won a lot for Best Original Screenplay, which I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so the Saturn Awards are an American award presented annually by the the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films. The award was created in honor of science fiction, fantasy, and horror films, but has grown to reward other films belonging in the genre of fiction, as well as television and home media releases.
Mm-hmm.
Not the car company.
Not the car company.
The car company.
And today
It was
learned.
a 50-50 guess, so, I mean...
You learn something new every day, Cam.
you got to go for it.
Okay, and the most notable award, which was, I guess, more recently, was in 2006. It was a winner for the National Film Registry, so it was preserved along with Blazing Saddles, Rocky, and Halloween that year.
Awesome. As it should.
Yes.
Okay. I like that. Stephen,
Yes.
how did this movie fare for you?
Oh, it was really good. So I enjoyed specifically that it just threw you into it. Because if this was like having a modern remake, they would have some like old woman or something that he like pushes into the puddle. She's like, "I'll curse you and you can't. You'll relive this day and learn to be a better person." It's just like really on the nose.
And the water would be moving back and forth because
and
it's
he'd
a
be like,
digital water.
I'll
Yeah.
never learn my lesson, woman. And then he just goes and does the film. But the fact that like you didn't see it happen, he was just suddenly in the loop. You didn't really see why it happened to him. Like he was just, it could have happened to you. It could have happened to anyone. So it adds a lot of mystique to it that I don't think you would have gotten today because current era film development doesn't trust its audience to have two lobes to rub together.
Yeah. They don't want you to think.
Yeah. And it was so good for that because you're just like suddenly in it. And I really liked the scope of like he's been doing this almost infinitely time. Like it wasn't like he did 5 loops. He didn't do like 10, 20 loops. Like it's got to be
tons of debate.
Yeah, it has to be thousands.
Over how long that could be.
Thousands of loops.
Catherine, did you get the numbers? Because I
14,000 days or something. I think I heard at one point in time.
Someone said 10,000 years. Some people said 10 years. Some people said 34 years. I have a Screen Rant article of them like calculating to 10,000
So I got
years.
What Culture's numbers were over 12,000 days and roughly 33 years.
Yeah, thousands of loops, I think, is just okay to say. Whether it's 10,000 or 100,000, thousands of loops.
We saw 38 different iterations, and 414 were mentioned.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
So-
Incredible scope to the storytelling. Because it's done through... Mostly, I would say, show don't tell. Even though it's a lot of it's reflective in dialogue, they're still showing a good chunk of the loops. Which some of them were quick, and they needed to be to get that point across. Like the Not Alive montage was a wild thing that you probably couldn't do in modern era TV.
No. Oh, no.
Yeah. And there was that kind of semblance of like the horrors of mankind. Like the first few loops were like debaucherous, horrible, like full of like.
I have notes in here that he represented every deadly sin, pretty much.
That makes sense. I picked that up. I picked that up on first watch. I don't think it was like a bonk over the head obvious thing, but it just does take the logical, like, what would kind of a yucky person do with this situation?
I mean, immediately we jump into lust, where he's like trying to sleep with this woman, and
Several women's.
Every woman.
Yeah, who
the
knows?
Screenplay differed a lot from the movie, and the writer came to terms with that, saying that there were darker points that he was exploring, like rape and murder, that's not really demonstrated in this movie. And he still enjoys the movie, but I don't think it quite hit the vision of like what someone would go through in those loops, and to kind of exclude him. I think for the movie it's fine. I don't need Bill doing any of that.
I think
that would have went down a much different path. That would have went real dark.
Well,
I mean, that's
wanted,
part of the depression and the things that he works through in the movie to get to the end result.
Perfect human, like, ascendance, like.
Because I think they originally were trying to get Tom Hanks, and then they turned him down because he was too nice, and they wanted Bill Murray because he could play mean really well.
So question.
Yeah.
Is he acting? Because the two films that I have seen now, it kind of seems like he's not acting.
So,
or does that make him really good?
I don't know. That's why I just want to.
So I went and I thought of you when I knew Stephen was going to ask this question. So I started
was thinking about that too. Yeah.
While watching, this movie was very scripted and they made him stick to the rails on this one. This was not a let's go and play, because he had to keep doing these things repeatedly, or at least we would see some of these things repeated. And if he's deviating in Bill Murray land of I'm just going to go off the cuff, that requires a whole new level of somebody on continuity to make sure that he comes back to do that.
Yes,
so
that's a really good point.
Yeah, so they made sure he stuck to the script during this one. And this one, so what Cam was saying is what was his name? Danny Rubin. I almost said Paul Rubin, but Danny Rubin wrote
different
this,
theater.
and then Harold, different theater, totally.
Yeah, Danny Rubin and Harold Ramis.
And then Harold Ramis came in to kind of soften it and make it more comedic and less. I didn't even know it went down that real dark path originally.
That's what they were saying. I didn't read the screenplay, but it makes sense that, for an original idea like that you would explore all of the avenues that are out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it doesn't translate great and well to screen. But it definitely did spur all of the movies that we talked about in the beginning of this.
Yes.
Going to like deviation of like what the darker things could have looked like, if I were to make some modification to kind of stick to that spirit of that, I think he needed to hit the train. I think that would have really set a good tone. Like he's willing to kill two randos to kind of like thought experiment here. Now they did end up doing it with the Groundhog, which kind of added that comedic timing to it. But then you did that and then went into the whole unaliving yourself montage. So I guess it's the same. Maybe if you did the Groundhog and then like you just like jumped around like him doing like really disastrous things, I think that could have stayed to the like we're going to explore some dark human experience things here.
I like the cosplaying. When he was
I really like this
Eastwood.
film. Well, and that it's super good because that implies that he's seen like this is the only film that he can watch. It's probably a theater that has like 2-3 screens, and probably one of them is very different than that. So he's like, I've seen this like who knows how many times. It's implied, but it's probably not once.
Thousands.
I didn't remember that scene. I was like, wait, is this something new? Am I watching like a special edition? Because every time I've ever watched this movie, it's typically with friends. So maybe I got up and got a drink, and I just didn't remember that scene, which was kind of threw me for a second.
When I had to go back and review this, I found that I don't think I've ever fully watched this movie. I feel this is a movie I have continually seen parts of all the time, over and over. And you're right. Like when you got to some of those scenes like that, I don't remember him at all. Like Clint Eastwood going in there. All right.
Yeah. No,
Or
that was
the whole beginning part is lost on me too, because it's not set in the town. It's all in the studio doing studio things. And it's like, I don't even remember seeing those opening scenes. So yeah, I feel like it was on HBO or USA, and it was just something that I kept watching clips of, and it's fun to watch. And like once you're mid movie and it's just him doing the day differently, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, this was 93, so you're not really running out. I mean, you might have run out to Blockbuster to grab it, but it was on some sort of television channel.
I mean,
and so you probably picked it up after it had already started. You know, it was already 15 minutes in, so we've already got past the snowstorm, and he's already stuck in the town.
I'm 15 at that time. It's not on my rental list. Like going in, at the end of the day, it's a rom-com, and that's just not it. And I'll go on saying it's actually a really good rom-com. I mean, it's kind of a romantic comedy for what he goes through to get to this woman and understand her and himself over thousands of times. Like that's the end part. That's the goal of this movie, is for him to do the day right because of her.
Right. So is that the implied, like, why he was being punished? Yeah. Really?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the
I think part of it is to be a better person.
He had like this weird god complex.
Well, yeah, but that was resolved in a lot of different.
As a weatherman,
he knew the weather. Like, but I feel that
I know Doppler.
It was resolved in so many other ways. Like even like the movie could have ended like when he cared about the homeless person that was dying, and that like he gave that person mouth to mouth, like literally try to save them just out of like genuine care.
He essentially like became a better person without trying to win her in any way.
Well,
yes,
because that wasn't the drive anymore.
Okay.
Because she wanted somebody like, and when she lists like her ideal man, she's like he's humble, or like he's not full of himself, he's not aware of it. So like that's kind of what he had to do.
So that's like baseline relationship standards, is we have to like do everything.
Evolve to evolve. Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
August.
It's woke movie. God damn it.
Oh my god.
Stephen does not reverse Pokemon. Only one way.
Right, exactly.
I mean, despite
this is not Digimon, you crazy kid.
Despite the Saturn Award and being science fiction in the part that you're looping in the same day, like it still is a romantic comedy. All of those things support that.
It's so creepy, though. No, am I tripping?
No, I mean it is, and I don't think I ever put it into that perspective until coming back and rewatching that, and then realizing that I hadn't seen the full movie, and then watching it, and he's such a horrible person up front. That was probably ad-libbed by Bill. If there's any improv in the movie, it's probably all up front, and then once we get into.
Don't think it was. So? I think it was I think it was based on what Ned Ryerson said. He said it was the one thing that he ad-libbed was a scene later on. With him, or when he was around. So it wasn't in the beginning. So yeah, they stuck to this script pretty stringently on this one.
He was going through a hard time too. Through this, he was going through a divorce when they were making this.
So that also put some strain, what I read, on between Bill Murray and Harold Ramis while making this.
He was also bit twice by the groundhog and had to get rabies shots twice.
Oh, rabies shots are not fun either. No. I would have driven that thing off a cliff too. Oh, okay.
But
They did keep that scene that he got bit in.
They
really?
did?
Did they?
It part of the scene right when he's driving in the steering wheel right there, and like the groundhog is up there. It was like a second later he'd wind up biting him.
Oh no.
So they were like,
that was the best
"Keep it."
take. Like
That's it. Bill's not coming back.
Is that the one where he actually just sent it over and it burst into flames? He's like, I'm done. I can't. There's no more footage to be had with this thing.
So I don't know if you guys
Thanks,
saw this,
Phil.
but I shared the 2020 Super Bowl commercial for Jeep, and they took Groundhog's Day and Groundhog Day. I shared that. If you haven't watched it after this, check it out. It's pretty funny.
Didn't. We'll have to watch that.
Yeah, definitely.
Wait, he wasn't driving a Jeep. What was he? He was driving a something
He was
different.
he was driving a truck, but they made it a Jeep for the commercial.
Oh, okay. I was like, huh.
Yeah. Clarification.
That's the adaptation.
Okay, I got
The
you.
adaptation.
There you go.
Marketing is all new to me. A whole new
I've also
world.
used the phrase all the don't drive angry, or don't insert verb and angry with multiple things over the years.
Yes.
The
You know,
Yeah.
don't hobby angry, don't paint angry, don't.
I'm gonna do this wash on this Warhammer figure, and I'm gonna be so mad about it.
Why are there brushstrokes? Love it.
God, brushstrokes are the worst. Time to put it down. Just put it down and walk away.
He's a little glossy.
I love the choice of the song the clock radio played every single morning, constantly
got you, babe.
mocking and daunting him every morning.
Well, the audience do.
Yeah.
If you didn't like Sonny and Cher before this movie, it did not help.
The payoff was the payoff was good when it was the new
Yes.
day. That was just
Yes.
like, oh, thank heaven.
Remix.
But even then, yeah.
Because they could have played the same song again, but then like the new, like a subtle change just to kind of get you into the mood. But it's like immediately like new song, new thing. And you're like, is it over?
It's
It's happened. Is it the end of the movie?
snow is on the ground.
Well, the other things that I've read was saying that it was also a hint as to what he needed to get out of the time loop, because he ended up getting Andie MacDowell's character in the end, and that's what like got him out of the time loop.
Oh, what's the song?
I Got You, Babe.
By Sonny and Cher.
But it also was like teasing him because they like got him and he's stuck in the time loop.
They're
Yeah.
two people from the way back time. They were
Yeah, they
on
were.
they were on the picture box when
Picture
everyone
box?
had one in their living room. Yeah. If
So
I
that-
could go back now.
Is that AI? That was impressive.
Hey, you sound just like Cher. It's uncanny.
I'm trying to see how much
in
they
my rotation.
paid for it. Because when you use a song like that
Oh,
and use
license
it
it.
repeatedly, licensing for
Yeah.
that's a lot of that 15 had to go into licensing that. Yes, Stephen, front down in the front.
Is Bill Murray attractive?
No.
Okay,
God, no.
okay, no.
I mean,
He's
maybe to some people.
attractive, but somehow he plays the guy that is. Sigourney Weaver? Sure. Why
Are
not?
you asking this like all of us?
Everyone,
Yes,
everyone
Bill
out
Murray.
there. Bill Murray attractive? Yes. I don't know. It feels like he's cast more his casting options, like if I were to award points or like skill tree, like D&D skill tree, like attractiveness, he's getting roles that don't match with that number. To
But
me.
he's got a hell
Yeah,
of a
but
Could
it's-
do
personality.
that with Adam Sandler though. He always gets the
His-
hot woman in the.
his
because Adam
charisma-
Sandler pays for his own movies. That doesn't count.
Okay, fine.
Charisma. His charisma is 20. It's off the chart.
Oh,
Like,
okay. He's got good
So,
charisma
like-
roles. That makes sense. Okay, I'm here.
I've never seen
Yeah.
that color on the card before.
but yeah, that's I think where he might not be conventionally attractive, his personality, charisma, and all the things.
Conventionally
But he
attractive.
seems just kind of like an asshole. So I'm just
He's
confused.
not conventionally.
Maybe he's just a really good actor, Steven.
I think so. It might be. It could be.
Yeah.
It's worth some research. I'm just because like you could have cast him as like the asshole that has to learn a lesson, but also not the charming, like, sexy dude. Like, it doesn't have to be both, but it always seems to be both, which confuses me.
But I think that helps you like him more because the viewer is also coming around to being like, oh, okay, I see.
I'll go
why
under the
this
quilt
works.
with him for sure. Like, that's the point of the movie. I have confusion again.
That's one way to put it.
What are you doing with that toaster?
No, but it just seems like he is cast in roles which
The
historically
whole 2 films you've seen of his.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
portfolio.
well, it's 100% of the roles I've seen him in.
He's not wrong one bit. I mean, if he wants to put his money down on this side that Bill Murray gets these amazing opposite co-stars in a total fantasy world, like, yeah, like, he is a hell of a charming person. But, I mean, most women are not going up to him unless he's, Bill Murray the star, like, just on face value. That's
Okay.
That's a pass.
And maybe I was wrong. Like, I'm not, like, traditionally attracted to what Bill Murray provides, so I don't really have stake in the game. I was just wondering, it's a question.
Does this fall under the Transformers situation, Stephen, where we don't want to you kept saying you don't want to see the humans, you just want to see the Transformers, so you just want to see Bill Murray being an asshole and you don't want to see him charm somebody?
Yeah, you know what? I like that. I like that. You were going down a path that I wasn't quite following, but I found the trail sign, and we're back on
So
board.
where
take
he's
the-
more
the
Larry David
romance.
than he is Bill Murray.
Because I really liked the asshole redeemed plot that we've seen in Scrooge and the good plot. But, like, the asshole
Filmed at, like, the same
redeemed
time.
being embodied as you got the girl, it was a little different, I guess that's something. But I guess the only way that was going to happen if you had millennia to make it happen with perfect
I mean, to
plays.
be fair, Scrooge is based off of a Christmas Carol. So
Right.
It won an Emmy.
yeah,
The
yeah.
hundreds of years old story, but yes, that was totally Bill Murray's story.
Yeah, exactly.
He's done other things.
It
I don't
was
know if you caught it
adapted
on
for Bill Murray.
Ghostbusters, but
Yeah.
oh wait, he
I
did
have
get the
not
hot chick at the
seen
end.
him. Yeah, wait, yeah, I'm assuming.
And he
Spoilers.
was a total jerk to people.
Yeah, no, he was. Yeah, he did not redeem himself. I mean, he redeemed himself in other ways, I guess. But yeah.
So is
still-
Ghostbusters a romantic comedy then? Because he gets the girl in the end.
It
Exactly
really
my
is.
point.
It just
It's a
it has
sci-fi
lot
romantic
more
comedy.
foreplay.
Ghostbusters and Groundhog, same movie.
They basically copied Alien, but yes. And I mean, if that's not a love story to a cat, I don't know what is.
Yeah, we're really setting Steven up well for Ghostbusters.
I know. Now I don't think I'm gonna like this movie. I think I should like this movie, but
Oh, you're the disc master.
yeah, I got
I'm
right
the
here.
tray
I
receiver.
figured this concept was come up.
He's not going to get the reference, Cam.
Not
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
Oh.
Not yet. No.
I did
Oh,
Oh,
well,
no.
yeah, I know.
There was a joke there.
There was
We love you. And we love the Funky Store.
Funky Dot's
Yeah,
store,
we
where you
do.
can get great nostalgia merch over at Funky Dot's store. There's also great
Which Steven
things.
doesn't have for this film.
Yeah, nope. Yeah, nostalgia score is low if we want to go into scores.
No.
Yes.
I'm taking Nick's job. Hey, who wants to give scores first?
Yeah. Score.
His audio is
I
low.
mean, we are at the score point of the episode, so we can start scores if you want, unless anyone has anything else that they'd like to bring up.
The other thing that, I mentioned that he went through every deadly sin, but he also goes through every stage of grief as well.
yes.
I wrote down he goes on a very a roller coaster of emotions through this. So
Yeah, but there's very specific points where he's experiencing denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. So I thought that was kind of
Going through the inferno.
All right, Catherine, you want to start off with scores?
Sure. For
Okay.
nostalgia and bias, not super high for me. I was gonna give that a 7, mostly because this is a newer film for me too. Well, it's not as new for Steven. First time I watched this was about, I don't know, 5 years ago. Literally no idea what I was getting into with this movie. Familiar with the trope, but didn't know what this film was about. And it was a lot of fun. I love this film. I've watched it many times since then. So about 7 for me there. But
Okay.
for production value, I gave it a 9. I really like the writing is great. That is what they've won awards for. The continuity, the way they were able to recreate scene after scene, but like from slightly different point of views, or just a reorienting the scene a little bit, and how Phil kind of interjects himself. I thought that was really great, and I really liked the that giant clock. I don't know if you remember that scene where you're like inside the clock and you see the numbers like falling.
Yes.
Yeah, I liked
Yep.
that. I thought that was really cool.
That was
Nice
good.
So-
low angle.
Yeah. Was that just like a miniature that they like zoomed in on? Like, how did they recreate that, do you think?
Yeah, putting him on the
Either.
spot.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
So
I'm just
you could do it-
curious. Like, Nick
you could
usually
do
has some ideas. Yeah.
Depending on the technology at the time, they could have actually filmed a small version. But my guess is they built a big version of it and
Okay.
shot it that way. Like that would be, if I were going to do it, I would say if we have the money, let's build a big one so we're not having to try to film a tiny little clock. That's
That's true. That's
They
true.
didn't really have a
Minuscule. I mean,
budget.
maybe even
didn't have.
at least a larger
True.
scaled version.
Yeah, because it had to have been some sort of like actual physical clock, since it was the 90s, early 90s, so it couldn't have been
Yeah.
computer generated in any way.
Let's say mid-grade. Mid-grade.
Yeah,
Maybe.
now we have tiny lenses that are long barrel lenses that we could have, shot up at a vertical angle of this and got that same situation happening.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
they were able
That's
to.
a good question.
Yeah, they were able to do a lot with the small budget that they had, so I enjoyed it
For
for
sure.
that. And then spirit and emotional value, and even intent, I gave it a 10. 10 out of 10 on that. There was a really great character arc, really seeing Phil go through every single stage of grief, experiencing every type of sin, eventually getting him to be a good person and winning over the Andie MacDowell's character. I cannot remember her name.
Not Nancy.
No.
What was her name?
Forgettable lady number
Rita?
1. What were you?
Rita. Thank you.
Rita.
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 Yes.
I did
Rita. Steven
from down
remembered
south.
something.
I did something. I watched a movie. I could go to a trivia night for the first time and actually be functional. You would be appalled at any trivia night I've ever been to. The movie section comes up. I'm like,
I think if you plan your trivia night the week before Groundhog Day, that you might actually get some questions for it.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's
I wouldn't know
true.
what I'm
You
getting
do.
questions on. That's the meat and potatoes.
Well, we're trying to fix it for you, Steven.
All right, Catherine, you said you got to put a 10 on Spirit?
I did, yes.
Okay.
And then rewatchability, I gave it a 9. I mean, I've already seen this several times since the first watch. Just randomly putting it on my own, just watching it by myself. It's a really unique comedy. It's not really anything that they make today in today's standards of comedies. It's very different. So overall, I gave it a 9. I love the story. I love the premise. I really enjoyed everything about this film. So we're sitting at a 44 out of 50, 88%. Starting off pretty high, so let's see where we go from there.
All right, Cam, you wanna run this bad boy down? Since
Yeah, Cam.
we know Bill Murray is your favorite.
Yeah, Milbury is my favorite of
Millbury.
Milbury.
He said it in the last movie, and I
He said
texted
the
him while I
thing.
was editing it, and I was like, did you intend to say Millbury, or was that just a Freudian slip? And he was like, I don't know, maybe. I just left it. Left
Bill
it and
Murray.
just went
That's
with-
funny.
He's my favorite of the Murrays. It really solved the question: is it Groundhog or Groundhog's Day? And it is Groundhog Day. It's just
is.
about the little guy. That helped. For nostalgia on this one, as I talked earlier, I don't remember really even seeing this movie fully. I'm 15 years old, and it's Bill Murray repeating the day over and over. Not really on my watch list. It was probably years later that I saw it on, some cable channel or whatnot. But it is a film that I've watched and continue to watch. I would put it at a 6 for the nostalgia. I do kind of remember the times and everything, but that is a really small view of the 90s, so to speak, too, even from that era. It's small town, middle America, and they all kind of look the same even now. So production wise, there wasn't a whole lot of production. It was a lot of shots within this place, exteriors outside of PA, and then the recreating of the town over and over and over. I don't think there was a whole lot of money spent on that side. The writing bit, I will give you on that. There's definitely, I would say that oftentimes I would forget about the writing and what it takes to put the movie up there and just think of production solely on like what went in to make the scene. But there's a lot more that go into before you get to the scene part. So on that one, I would give them a 7. I don't think that it really hit on the writing side from what that artist or what the writer had envisioned, and for that I would kind of ding points off it. I still think it made a good movie, and like we said, we don't need to see Bill going down those paths, but for what it's worth, I still think they did good. Spirit and Intent is also in the same kind of ballpark for me, because it is we said thousands of days that this guy did. We saw 38 and we mentioned 414. It's kind of tough to capture all of that in there. So I do think that they were higher in the spirit and intent than they were on the production side, just because I don't see anything big from a production side. So I gave them an 8 in spirit. Rewatchability, because I have seen this movie so many times in bits and pieces. I feel like I'm just munching on, mini M&Ms every time that this is on. It's just like little bite-sized pieces of, oh man, he's gonna step into the puddle. Not this time. It's all you, Ned. So 8 on that one for rewatchability. I still think it holds up today and is still a funny movie to watch for a period piece in the 90s, Stephen.
Yeah.
Truly.
Overall on this movie, I rate it at a 7. It's not the best movie. I do think it's a good romantic comedy, which I never thought I'd heard myself saying that about this movie until today. But outside of that, like, it's still comedic. It's a cool idea. But I mean, all things considered, that's where I'm at. So I think that puts us at a 36 in total for a 72.
Steven, do I hear?
Oh, is that coming through? Yeah.
I hear sirens or children
No, it's
or
children.
something. Does anyone else feel like it's Groundhog Day, or is it just me? Welcome to Gen Wars.
Okay. Nostalgia and bias. I kind of have to give it my neutral rating of I haven't seen it before, takes place in a time that I have nostalgia for, has a lot of Midwest podunk to it, which I do love. Fantastic representation of that. So I give it a 6 out of 10 on nostalgia, which I think is more than fair. Production value, I think it was really, really good. Knowing the budget, I could have rated this higher, but I put it as at an 8 because I think that's a good, like, the shots were good, having to deal with the looping aspects and keeping Bill Murray on task. Like, you cannot go off script, like...
I'm changing my score. Steven convinced me. The keeping Bill on task.
That is a good point.
It seems like it's a very important thing to do. Like,
absolutely.
That was probably not like they get the footage. They're like, oh my god, Bill, like, please, like, can you rein it in?
To the
one
script.
shoot day. I would like fun fact I would love to know is how many days they were on set, because I feel like there's a whole bunch of environmental lighting things. Like, there's a lot of outside shots.
That's a good
We'll
point.
say that
Nighttime scenes for sure.
Ned Ryerson, the guy, Stephen Tobolowsky, said that during those filming of his scenes, it was all over the place. It was sunny one day, it was rainy the next day, it was cloudy the day after. Like, he said there was no consistency.
They were in the Midwest. I can tell you, they're on Lakeside in the true Midwest, because this was shot in Illinois. Yeah, like, they made it seem like it was the same day. So good production value, I will say. So I give them 8.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit and emotion, those things, I want to rate it higher because I really do enjoy the concept. I like the ploy, but going back into my earlier points of, like, oh, he just got the girl, that's the redemption arc, is to, like, seduce a woman. Like, I don't know if that's the exact takeaway that we wanted from this film. So I also rate that as an 8. I think it did a great job of portraying what they wanted to portray about, like, the human experience, like, what they would truly do in this situation, how it, like, came on. I think there's a great decision of not making it so over the head, like, I'm cursing you with this thing. It just started happening, and
Nana, go back to bed.
Right, because if it's like, that's what I love about what they were doing with this film. If it was obvious, or, like, there was, like, this one thing that he had to fix or address or, like, course correct on, it's a much shorter, much more surface level film. The fact that it just started happening and he wasn't really, like, sure what he was supposed to course correct, and he was like, well, I'm just going to do these things. I'm a god. Like, literally, I'm a god now, and in doing these things. It was cool. It was cool. So 8 on that. Rewatchability, I really like the film. There's a lot to catch on a rewatch. Having only watched it once, definitely going to watch it again. I think it's a good piece of cinema, so I rate that as an 8. Overall, it's a 9 out of 10. I think it's a really good film. This is what I don't think is made today. I don't think that this is something that could be made today for whatever amount of reasons, but it's a great film. Like, it solidified itself as, like, the set piece for the trope. It's like, if you want to, I want to make a time loop human experience movie, and I need to do my research, this would be at the top of the list of things to watch. So yeah, 9. Giving it a 39 out of 50, putting it at a 78%.
Excellent. What was your spirit score?
Spirit, 8.
All right, so my nostalgia score for this is an 8. I was 13 when this movie came out, so I definitely watched it a lot on HBO and whenever it was on, kind of thing, same as Cam. So I've had a fondness for this movie for quite some time, and I've watched it every time either someone's brought it up or it's on. Just, it's one of those movies that you could literally put on, and that's why Cam has only seen it in pieces. It's, you're flipping through the channel and you're like, oh, Groundhog Day's on, and you just sit there and just watch.
I know exactly where I am.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I gave nostalgia an 8 because I do absolutely love this movie. Production value, I give this a 9. They made it feel like it was small town America, or what I assumed Pennsylvania would be, even though I'm pretty close to Pennsylvania. I've only been there a little bit. But also the attention to detail and writing this script and keeping Bill Murray on track. keeping consistency within either shots or how things play out. I worked on a movie back in 2004, and there was a similar trying to do something similar where we were seeing the same scene from other people's perspectives, and I was the continuity person. Why did I just script supervisor and continuity, and just trying to make sure everything played out the same way in each scene from the other person's perspective or slightly different, keeping everybody in roughly the same places and stuff. That is a challenge, and I think they did a great job with this. The Spirit, I give a 10 on for this movie. It's the first of its kind. I think it is I don't want to say flawless execution, but it's almost a flawless execution. Harold Ramis knows how to make a movie. He knows how to, retool a script and bring it to moments of joy and happiness and sadness and despair. Like, again, he took us on this emotional roller coaster throughout this movie, experiencing it with this character. Rewatchability is a 9. I rewatched this. If you said, let's go back and rewatch it right now, I'd be down. Like, this is comfort food. This is one of those comfort food movies that I can just watch at any given time. Overall, I give it an 8.5. When watching it this time around, specifically to critique it, I wanted 10 more minutes. And I know that's just I felt that there was, I don't want to say there was something missing, but I just wanted this much more. So I would give it a 9, but I'm going to knock off a half a point, but that's for my own, I just want that little bit extra, playing in this world just a little bit longer. Cause it was fun. Like I'm sure there was stuff that was potentially either left out of the script or maybe even left on the cutting room floor for time. I don't know. I didn't go look in any DVD or anything to see what, special or added features were there or like cut scenes. So I don't know if there might be some of those that just didn't make it into that. Maybe that's that 10 minutes that I'd like to see. So with that being said, I got a 44.5. So that's an 89% for me.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Big numbies.
Me and Nick
Big
sitting at
numbers.
88, 89.
And then we got the 70s boys over
Yeah,
there.
I was about to say,
Yep.
me and Cam continuing our
70s
villain
boys.
arc.
Continuing your villain arc.
Sometimes when I lift up the skirt of nostalgia, I find some things out that I didn't want to.
Hey, he's got opinions on like classic great films, and I have a single opinion on a cult classic, and everything goes to hell. Like,
Not
No,
like
those are somebody-
Alien at
Still
all.
getting shit for that.
still to this day, time of recording, still get in trouble for Event Horizon.
Scot free
Yep,
for Gremlins, though.
yeah, for Gremlins, like of all things.
-3.
All right. Steven, you want to round us out with some plugs for this episode?
No. Bye. We'll see you in the next one. Oh yes.
I got you, babe.
But just play old footage of like a plug.
There we go.
Yeah. No. You can check out Cam over at Never Touching Grass because he is doing everything Call of Duty Zombies. It's truly amazing that he is piecemealing so many great things out of a game that's truly dying. And speaking of a dying franchise, you can go over to Spectacle Views to see all the great Disney millennial things. Spectacle Views,
Poor
all of the things that are being taken away, like the dinosaur ride and Christmas time, they're forever put
took away
on
Christmas.
Spectacle Views, where you can watch those things. And other things that they're taking away, the joy of childhood and toys and playing with that, you can check that out over at Fire Hazard 508 Creations, where he makes playthings into display things. You can relive the things that were taken away from you in
Good
your
segue.
childhood. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm there.
You hooked it.
And the ultimate thing that was taken away, physical media, video games, over at Funky Games, my channel, where we play through all the
See you later,
quintessential
physical media.
Yeah, physical media is dying, but we're trying to keep it alive with like
We're trying.
I'm burning all of my YouTube videos to VHS just to make sure that we have
Burning them?
I'm hitting record on the screen. VCR, have you
Narrator,
seen a
he's not doing
VCR?
it right.
You mean recording? But okay.
Yeah. Well, you can't. Burnable Blu-ray
gotta burn
discs
it
are
to
gone.
a
Sony's taking them
DVD.
away from us. Everything's gone. Everything's horrible. But do you know what's always going to
It's
be
gone,
here?
all gone.
This channel, Gen Wars, where we appreciate your likes and subscribes, so you can check out all the things that we have reviewed, timeless classics, new movies. It's all here at Gen Wars, and we appreciate all of the time that you've put into
Full
watching our
circle.
channel.
Absolutely.
Make sure you leave some comments about some movies that you'd like us to review. I mean, we're picking them, but we'd also like to hear what you guys have to say, and we'll throw some of those in the mix and see what comes of that. Does anyone else feel like it's Groundhog Day, or is it just me? Welcome to Gen Wars.